Ever wonder who the leader of your country really answers to? Well, this is the game of politics, and in this video, we're going to focus on Theresa May, and by extension the Conservative Party. I'm just going to focus on the voting population in this video. I'll cover the Parliamentary Party in another video. In this video I'm going to use the words May, Conservative and Tory interchangeably, because that's just the way the UK voting system works. In this analysis I'm going to use the most recent general election, which was June 2017, because I feel that will give the most complete picture on the demographics of voters. The first factor that determined support for the Conservatives was age. YouGov calculated that for every 10 years older a voter got, they were 9% more likely to vote Conservative. Economic class didn't really have much to do with it. However, education was a clear dividing line. The more educated the voter was, the less likely they were to vote Conservative. Gender was a relatively small factor, with women voting for the Conservative and Labour in roughly the same numbers, but men voting slightly more for Conservative than Labour. When you look at employment status, there's very clear domination of the full-time students and retirees, with Labour the former and the Conservatives the latter. Finally, it's important to look at voter turnout by age. Unfortunately, 18 to 19-year-olds only turned out at about 57%, compared with their elders of 70 plus who turned out at 84%. Generally, the likelihood of going to vote increases with age. So what tactic would May use to give her the best chance of winning if there was a general election tomorrow? And what would a hypothetical manifesto for this look like? Well, the first thing May needs to focus on is maintaining older people's support, which would be the easiest thing to do because traditionally that's the demographic that votes Conservative. But the key demographic that May needs to shift would be the 45 to 55 age bracket. This is because there's a substantial percentage of them voting, and due to the way the UK population is distributed by age, they are the biggest group. So targeting this group is likely to be the most efficient way to produce a swing to the Conservatives. And there's a crossover point between when a voter is more likely to vote for Labour and more likely to vote Conservative. So May needs to focus on bringing this turning point down. Now, policies for this age group are difficult to find because there's not very much hard evidence about what this age group actually wants. But we can make educated guesses. For example, the Office of National Statistics says that between 35 and 64-year-olds, around 65 to 75% are homeowners. Now, one policy that could gain favour from this group would be to reduce stamp duty. This is because stamp duty is only charged for properties over 125,000. So it's unlikely to target younger people who are just getting onto the housing ladder. A lot more efficient way of targeting that demographic. In a similar vein, lowering capital gains tax would also target this demographic more than younger voters, because somebody who's slightly older is likely to have more investments, and they also might own a home and want to upgrade their home, so they might have to pay capital gains on the increase in value of their first home. Therefore, this is a pretty effective way of targeting them. Another issue that may be key for that age group would be migration, with a 2009-2010 study saying that between 30 and 49-year-olds, 59% of them said migration needed to be reduced by, quote, a lot. But these are just short-term policies. What could May do in order to cement her rule in the long run? Now, the first major thing she could do would be to undermine her opponent's key demographics. She could reduce the trend of people going to university, because as we saw earlier, the less educated you are, the more likely you are to vote Tory. This could be implemented by making university more expensive, or by simply promoting apprenticeships as a better way to do things. Another key demographic May would want to target would be younger voters, especially full-time students. This could be done by making it harder for younger people to register to vote. A lot has changed in 3 months. Labour has really jumped ahead since their success in the 2017 general election, with the latest YouGov poll putting the Conservatives at 39% and Labour at 43%. Now, this is just my opinion, but I don't think Theresa May is going to be allowed to lead the next general election. I think the people in her party think that she's been discredited too much, and I feel that they'll push her to fall on her own sword sometime after Brexit's finished, unless there's a massive shift in the polls. However, leave a comment and we can get the debate going. If you found any value from watching this video, then please consider subscribing. I try to post a video at least once a week. Or you could click on screen now to watch my previous video. This has been the Game of Politics, and thank you for watching.